Quiz, class! Today we're having a pop quiz. Who made a story where aliens come out of people's butts? The answer is Stephen King! And no, we're not reviewing the movie where aliens come out of people's butts. Although I really do plan to do that one. First, we gotta scare little girls! So we see our main cast of characters, a businessman, a British man, a blind girl, and Spock knockoff number 6008 apostrophe. Our main characters board an airplane.
On a window seat.
Why don't you talk
No. Why don't you talk to the ticketing agent? I only want to talk to you.
We got a Karen! All hope is lost! We got a Karen! No! Danger alert! Danger alert! Wig! Anyway, the real reason the girl screamed wasn't because of the wig. It was because her aunt disappeared off the plane and she's blind and she can't see, so she's looking for her aunt. So the blind girl is Dinah, that's her name, and she finds someone to sit with, a teacher. So yeah, I'm gonna try to refer to her as Dinah throughout the rest of the review. Oh my gosh, it's Billy from the Power Rangers.
What's going on here? Will someone shut this brat up?
I'm angry for no reason! So it turns out more people than just Dinah's aunt disappeared, but all the people that didn't disappear were sleeping. So that's strange and definitely won't relate to anything in the plot later. Nope, no sirree.
How could someone disappear and leave their hairpiece behind? It's quite a mystery, don't you think?
This character sounds like Spock for some reason. Captain.
I have a meeting at Boston's Prudential Center at 9 o'clock.
Wow, I'm a big baby. So the people on the plane attempt to land. That way they could see if they could get a reason why the other people disappeared.
No, we're heading to Bangor, Maine.
Wow, a Stephen King story taking place in Maine? That never happened.
Scaring the little girl!
My bad acting meter. Should I go with the angry face, or I'm gonna go with the angry face?
Okay, fine.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
The businessman, what's his name, Mr. Toomey, the guy that was yelling earlier, has a bunch of mental flashbacks that foreshadow something later in the movie. So the plane finally lands, but there's still a mystery afoot, or should I say, a mystery a-wing. So when they land, there's no one there. Whee! And now we come to the scariest scene in the movie, where Mr. Toomey has a flashback with his father, and it turns out his father put constant pressure on him, so he's basically a Karen. Okay, I'm done with the Karen jokes for this review. Or am I? But anyway, this scene is the scariest because it plays into the more psychological aspect of horror, and for me, the psychological aspect of horror of why the killer or person that is causing the problem and or movie, that's the most interesting part of the horror movie. Not unless the killer has some cool powers like Freddy, because Freddy just has a cool voice in general. I took off my glasses even though it doesn't help me at all.
There's something making that horrible cereal noise.
Horrible cereal noise? What? I mean, it's not like I'm just gonna turn around and I'm gonna see a box of cereal and a scary sound effect's gonna play. Yeah, so Mr. Toomey sneaks away from the group and finds a gun. Yeah, let the psychopath sneak away from the group and you don't go try to find him. That's a great idea. Also, I'm not gonna play the clip of this scene, but there's this scene that's right after the glasses scene I made fun of, where they're talking about how Dinah has great hearing. And I get it, she's blind. They have double duty hearing, but she was literally over there standing by the window while two other characters were having a conversation, and then she heard it, and they were like a couple a few feet away, just a little bit away, and then everybody was astonished at how good her hearing was. I can hear better from my bathroom when I have the shower on at full force. Dang, that wasn't impressive at all.
Here, give it to me. I've drunk 'em warm before. Don't cross my eyes none. Damn. Flat. Flat and tastes like an old tire.
No, not the beer. Well, the next scene is about the explanation of the movie, and I'm not qualified to cover it, so I'm going to let a scientist cover it. It is I, the great Dr. T. Sandel, and I'm here to enlighten you on the explanation of the movie and why all the passengers from the plane disappeared, because that idiot Tyler can't figure out it because he's stupid. Very, very stupid, just like you typical Americans, but unlike me, German. Ha ha ha. German superior. Anyway, the Mr. Spock knockoff gives his explanation, and he basically says that the plane was caught in a time warp, like the past and present stopped, like time stopped, like they've been caught in a time warp where time stops, which I think is positively retarded, as a scientist myself would say, but he's just a Spock knockoff from a pretty okay film. Anyway, so there's like a time warp. The past and present has stopped, but the plane, because has a metal structure, it was able to survive the time warp. So, and remember the monsters? I don't know if that idiot Tyler mentioned this because he probably forgot, because as we all know, blonde people have dumb memories. Oh wait a minute, I'm blonde. Oh crap, retract that statement. So the plane was able to survive the time warp for the people that were asleep, because the time warp wave didn't vaporize them like it did with all the other passengers on the plane. Now, langoliers, because I forgot to mention this, or Tyler forgot to mention this, of course, because I am not Tyler. That's pretty obvious. We totally look different. I'm sexy and he's ugly. Anyway, so the langoliers are monsters that Craig, or Toomey's father, told him about, that are monsters that come and clean up time, like garbage trucks that come and clean up the waste, that come and clean up the residue in time, like they're garbage trucks that clean up the people that accidentally got caught in time warp, like a garbage truck, I believe you Americans calls it. Anyway, I will hand the show back over to Tyler, and I will go back to doing something important instead of wasting my time on this filthy review. Anyway, like the doctor said, which he insulted Americans, which I am truly sorry for. But you know, the German people with the egos. But anyway, so basically what he said, in case you couldn't understand his accent, was that they were caught in a time warp, and the langoliers are like garbage collectors, and the humans are the garbage, and they try to eat them. And then Mr. Toomey stabs Dinah in probably the most hilarious stabbing scene ever. He straight up runs at her like, yeah, like the freaking Kool-Aid man. Here, watch.
Be afraid.
So, they're able to load Dinah up onto the airplane after escaping Mr. Toomey, and it turned out she has psychic powers for literally no reason at all. It is foreshadowed, I guess, but now all of a sudden she has psychic powers like a freaking superhero. Then again, this is Stephen King, so what were you expecting? But and here we get to a controversial sort of thing in the film. So, after Toomey gets knocked out by the Power Ranger looking kid, she wakes up Mr. Toomey using her psychic abilities, tricking him and using his clearly weakened mental state to trick him and use him as a sacrifice for the langoliers, the monsters that his father talked about. And here is where I have a couple issues. One, I get it, the dude's evil. I'm sure he killed that black man and he done lots of bad stuff, but he literally said that he didn't want that child messing with his mind, and that he would rather just die slowly. I don't know how I feel about using. It's clearly not him. I mean, his father. You're just using a mentally weakened man as a sacrifice. Then again, I couldn't think of a better ending myself, and that's kind of left with moral ambiguity, so I'm just gonna leave it at Oh my goodness, it's a pair of evil dentures, run! Anyway, our main cast of characters manages to escape the langoliers and get on the plane, fly through the time warp, and get back home. Movie ends with a freeze frame. Now for my conclusion and final thoughts. Okay, this movie can be good in two different ways. If you want a good horror movie, you aren't going to get that out of this movie unless you're really, really young, which I will admit, it did get me the first time. I was horrified at this movie at first. But now, this movie is freaking hilarious, because he just screams all the time. It's great. And by the way, that's Balky from Perfect Strangers. And, yeah. So, if you want a good cheesy movie, I recommend this. I do think it deserves a remake like It. And, yeah. And, so, it just depends on what mood you're in, I guess. Now, on to the ending. I don't like, well, it's cheesy and the freeze frame ending is hilarious, but when you actually stop and think about it, Dinah's aunt is dead because of the time warp thing, so her aunt is gone. How is she gonna get back home? And that guy, and Billy, the guy that looked like a Power Ranger, wanted to study music at a college where he was going before they got interrupted by the whole time warp thing. How is he ever gonna study music? It's just all that gets derailed. So yeah, the ending is cheesy, but it still leaves lots of questions. And yeah. So, if you're in for a good horror movie, like an actually good one, you won't get that out of this. But if you're in for a good entertainment experience, I suggest checking it out. Unless you're too young and the CGI scares you. Anyway, that's my opinions on the movie, and bye-bye.